Yeah, that part, yeah.
Hello.
Oh,
you guys
Could you
can
guys
sign
sign in on the?
Right. Thank you.
We need proof that you were here. Actually, you're on camera anyways.
Raise it again.
So this agreement is all public knowledge.
Yes, we don't need to be.
One page quicker than the other.
What? I have one
It
hand
looks
that's
like
better
it's
than-
90, one looks like it's a little.
88.
Much younger. No, I never really.
I never really paid attention.
But it depends on what time of the day. it is.
I'd like to call your attention to the meeting, which
I
we're
will,
about to
but-
start. So I want to thank you all for coming. Welcome you to this meeting. This is for not a hearing, but we're recording and entering into an agreement on the Thompson Road project with the state. So Julie, you want to give us some insight into what exactly we're doing?
Sure. So, this tonight was gonna be a hearing on the laying out, of the road, and if possible, condemnation or taking of land relative to the new Jewett Road. That does not need to happen. We have reached a settlement with the property owner, and the state. So yesterday, as I had informed all of you guys by email, Goddard's and Franzen signed a deed, an easement deed, granting easement to the state and to the town for the, laying out of the road. And, we reached a settlement agreement, a monetary and non-monetary settlement agreement. Settlement agreement is for $79,000. 19,500 is paid by the state. 60,000 is paid for by, the town.
Julie, that 19,000.
Mhm.
That the state's paying, I thought they had offered more. That's not
No.
part of it.
No,
That was their
no, the
limit, that
state-
was it?
The state had offered 13.
Oh,
We got the state up for the
okay,
19.
okay, that's why, it's a
Yeah.
different number. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, no. There are some non-monetary, things that we settled with, Goddard Franzen's. They are things that will be built in as part of the project, so they're not an expense to us, to the taxpayers of Chester. The only thing that is the town's part of those non-monetary are a couple of signs, so horse crossing and, farm equipment. So those would be the ones that the town, would be a part of. And then I think there are one or two of, identifying private property, which we can do. The rest of the items of what, like I said, would be built into the project. Things like returning areas back to grass, those types of discussions, and that's all part.
Some culverts or something on the
Correct,
road.
conduit in case they ever want to do future, running of electrical lines or anything underground, the conduit would be there and ready for them. Again, those are built in as part of the project. Many lawyers involved in this, the state has had their attorneys looked at it, they're in agreement, Jim Farrell was in agreement, and the landowners' attorneys, were in agreement as well. We signed all documents yesterday, so what needs to happen is the select board needs to ratify. If you're in agreement, you need to ratify what, the settlements were that took place yesterday. The reason we do it that way is so that we could then cancel the hearing. That's why we do it the way that we did it, so that all of that whole team of attorneys and witnesses did not need to come down. All of that money gets spent on bringing all those people to town, just to save the county.
I had a question about one part of it where they, before the project, they go around and they take pictures.
Mhm.
And then afterwards, they go around and take a look to make sure that everything's the way it should be. Otherwise, they have their there's a recourse that they could have?
Mhm.
It seems like there's still a little door open in case there's a disagreement.
There is, they just wanted to have, some they wanted to document what their property looked like before.
Mhm.
There was concern about, stone wall that was there, and there's concern for them about their front. So documenting what is there, then after the project, documenting again what is there, and making sure that, there's an agreement with how things are.
Oh, I wasn't sure what that meant all that.
Yeah, it's just making sure that the parts of the project that are not the project,
Yeah.
or the parts of their property that are not part of the project,
Don't get affected.
don't get affected, or if they are, then yes, the contractor needs to. fix
Right,
that.
because that stone wall gets temporarily removed and then we'll put it back in place.
Correct, exactly. Protections for that. like,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like when you rent a car, you take pictures all the way around it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Same type of concept.
You
In
can
case something
prove-
happens, you have proof of what it
Yeah.
looked like.
Makes sense. So do you need a motion?
Yes,
Yeah.
so I will. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Lindsay,
Will you be taking any questions?
could you come up here?
Yes, I'm sorry. Bill Lindsay, you taking any questions from the public?
We do that before or after?
It's up to you.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I realize how old I'm getting because this project is probably as old as I am.
It's been my 21 years of working for the town. so
Yes, okay, this was discussed a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't, at the moment, and I'll blame it on myself because I haven't been to every meeting. But what was the realm of discussion regarding the pluses and minuses of this project? And I say that because I know how many bridges we have up there. I know it's been always an expense to the town. And if we can improve it, it probably overall would be beneficial. With that, I guess I'm asking what the board sees as beneficial to the town taxpayers. And who are we getting one bridge and closing the rest of them? I mean, pardon me, but I get asked a lot of questions. I guess people think I come to every meeting. I don't.
And we're disappointed, Bill.
Haven't seen you in a while.
But what I'm saying is, I still get lots of questions and. My standard answer, of course, is, you could attend the meeting there lonely. But you see, you don't have a crowd out there. So I guess what I'm just asking for the purpose of getting information out to the public. If you could give a brief scenario, that you can within the boundaries of what have been negotiated, what the benefits would be to the landowners and the taxpayers. That's my question.
I'll take a stab at it and then let Julie correct me.
That'll be
But
fine.
basically, there's a twofold goal. One is to reduce two bridges down to one.
Correct.
And the second is a safety issue. So right now, both Thompson Road and Jewett Road are, the entrances to those roads are on 103 where there's not a whole lot of width to the road. So if you're turning into or off of 103 from either one of those roads, there's a safety concern that you get sideswiped or whatever. So that's part of the issue of moving that further north so that you have a little bit more width. So you can have a turn lane and enable traffic to make that transition more safely.
Okay.
So that was one of the primary reasons.
No, information is cheap, so to speak, but there's been discussion. Will that new bridge, when it enters out into the land, is any of that going through a floodplain? Because it was mentioned that some of that land was in the floodplain. And maybe that's true, and maybe it's not true. It just seems to me that we wouldn't put a new structure up and then put it into a floodplain, so if you had a problem, I'm gonna get to the properties.
Well, the engineering has been over the course of many years and they've looked at that whole thing and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that the bridge would be built and the approach to that by the river would allow the water to flow underneath the bridge and then around it if it needed to. Is that?
Yeah, and the bridge itself, the elevation, the height, the elevation and the expanse.
Okay,
When the bridge comes down, where the bridge itself will not be in the floodplain.
right,
parts of the new layout of Jewett Road are going to be in the floodplain, just like the existing Jewett roads in the floodplain and the existing
Right.
Thompson roads in the floodplain. There's a section of the new road, but it's the higher end of that floodplain. So that part doesn't change, but it's gonna be a sizable structure.
Right,
It does expand the whole floodplain,
okay.
the
So,
bridge itself.
so we really won't be dealing with anything worse than what we
No,
really have.
it should be better
Should
because
be
you're
better.
taking two bridges where the channel narrows,
Right,
causes a lot of the ice jams
Right.
and the flooding in the spring.
right,
That, under the new design, should go away.
okay.
We'll see.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
So the motion, any other questions? Come on up, state your name and
Hi, Amy Rocher. I'm an interested party in all of this and, to Bill's question, the whole area is the 100-year floodplain. So just because the height of the bridge technically isn't in the floodplain, the road slopes down on both sides. It's gonna be a greater length of road, also a wider length of road, sloping down on both sides inside the 100-year floodplain. So I foresee there being more problems in the future if we continue to have flooding. I foresee more water being pushed out onto Route 103 during floods. Because you're basically building a dam in the floodplain. I don't foresee this really helping much, maybe with safety issues. I think it's unfortunate that from the very beginning, when we first were brought on board, kind of a lot of the decisions had already been made behind the scenes. And, there were already threats of eminent domain, and my husband was invited to the first meeting. And, I decided not to go to that one, but I went to the second one. And I went up to the V-Trans person. I asked who I would need to speak to about alternative places for a bridge, and he directly told me to go talk to that person. I don't know his name. But, I said, well, what about the option to access, because I remember when all this started, it was just Thompson Road. It was Lisa Kamen, the dairy truck couldn't get over the bridge. It was having trouble. So Lisa came and asked for a new bridge. That's all I remember ever hearing about. And then when we finally heard about it, and the plan was to take 3 bridges and turn them into one. So what I guess I'm trying to say is, when I went over to this person at V-Trans, this was like the first public meeting upstairs regarding the issue that the public was invited to and the stakeholders were invited to. I said, well, have you considered Wyman Falls? Have you considered Wyman Falls taking that route? Because there's a historic road. It's outside, I didn't say this, but I said, have you considered that when you go across the bridge, the direct shot to Lisa Cannon's farm, Thompson Homestead? And he said, oh, well, that's outside of the project scope and that's all just a bunch of wetlands. And I trusted him and I believed him. And I guess it was outside of the very limited project scope. I feel like the project scope has been very narrow. And I feel like that would have been a very viable option. It would have created a bridge that was, you know, what do you call it? Like flood resilient. Right now we're putting, I don't know how much this bridge costs. How many millions of dollars federal funded we're putting into this bridge. But we're putting it in the flood zone and we might get flooding on 103 even worse. Very easily.
but to answer that question.
I just wanna finish.
Okay.
So I believed him and all these years ago, it's been very stressful for anyone that's has to undergo the threat of eminent domain. I wish that on no one. It is the worst thing in the world. It's so stressful. So, anyways, it's just, when you were all invited to this meeting here, I thought, oh, well, you know, I'm gonna go check that out. And sure enough, it's may have been out of the project study scope, But it's not a bunch of wetlands, it's high as that. And it was actually a road on on the, from back in the 1930s. It was a physical road marked on the map, the Chestertown Highland map. So it's just unfortunate that you know, was never considered, that the project scope was so narrow that was it. Because this is not gonna be a flood resilient project. I mean, look at what happened in Texas. We're not planning for the future with this kind of engineering. It's just gonna be this all gradated, and it's all in the floodplain. And whoever's south of it, whoever buys that Thompson farm property, their hayfield's gonna get a bunch of gravel in it, just like the Goddards and the Franzens have just road material washed right onto your hayfield. And then the town fixes it, but it was the neighbors up the hill that really fixed it, that really trucked all that gravel out of the field. Town didn't do anything but fill in the potholes. So I'm just saying, I'm grateful that you all have brought people to the table again. It's unfortunate that this is gonna go through. Yes, it might be safer, but I just don't feel like it makes the most sense, and I think there's a lot of common sense with, for however many $1 million bridge, how many millions of dollars this project is gonna cost.
Landed at 3. It's 3 something.
So, and it's a gigantic wide bridge. So my concern is, I think it's a 30-foot wide bridge.
It's 2 lane. It's 2 lane, so it
Two
probably is, yeah.
I just hope that in the future, you're not in the back of your minds thinking, we're just gonna get rid of Palmer Bridge too, we're gonna take whoever's land. It's. I mean, at that point, maybe we will be living there, maybe we won't, but it's still in the back of my mind that the town may have ulterior motives to still get rid of Palmer Bridge and take what is currently the land that we live on. So I guess I would just ask, is there any talk of that currently?
No.
No?
It's just about this project. Just about this project.
I mean, that was one of the original alternatives with all 3 bridges, but back then, because of the shape that bridge was in and because of the public input, they let that bridge stay and they just went to the 2. Now, if it comes up in the future, I don't know what happens in the future as far as I can't predict what's gonna
That
happen or
wouldn't be
not
nice.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the initiative for something like this, like Lee was saying, was safety.
Mhm.
Those bridges, when you turn onto 103 from those other 2 bridges, you're taking your life into your own hand. And I am surprised that no one has died at any of those intersections on there. The new bridge, the engineers that have explained to us that it should help with the flooding as opposed to what you're saying, that it might make it worse. I hope the engineers are right on something like this because of the way it's built. Even if the approaches wash away, the bridge isn't going anywhere. So that part of it is definitely a plus. The fact that the opening underneath that bridge is a lot bigger than any of the other bridges opening, so there's no more of a bottleneck there. So it allows that river to expand, and they are gonna be doing some work to the river as it goes through there, so it's gonna be able to contain a lot more water than it used to. It doesn't mean that it's not gonna just send the problem further down the line, and it could, and it might make some other issues, a lot of unforeseen circumstances that happen. But as far as when the engineers explained this to us, it wasn't, we gotta worry about this, we're worried about that. They thought it was the best idea for a lot of reasons, and one of them is monetary, because it's a lot cheaper to maintain 1 bridge than 2. And the other ones are in sad shape, and if you had to rebuild them, you'd have to build them to the new specs, so now you're talking, instead of a $3 million project, now you're talking $6 million. Because you have 2 bridges and they're still not gonna have that safety thing in there. It's a tough one. I feel for you when your land's involved and you're a neighbor with things that are happening and stuff. Nobody wants to see that stuff, and they're hard decisions for us to make too. Because we're trying to do what's best for the community, and we know sometimes that we're gonna be not hurting, but someone's gonna, maybe hurting a few people for the benefit of the most. where we
I
are
would
today.
just say in the future, when anything like this ever happens, it's a way better idea to bring the stakeholders on board. Early on, because people have good ideas. I thought I had it, that was a good idea.
I don't remember, I mean, that conversation you had, I don't remember
I
that.
don't think you were at that meeting, right?
Which is.
There were
Jim's
meetings that David and I had with all of the landowners.
landowners, yeah.
Yeah. But the state had already done, I mean, this is not a town design project. The state came to us with what they were doing. So this is not like this was a town project that we started. This was started by the state. Cause there are bridges in the states right away. That's what did this. So that's why that process went the way that it did. If this was a town project, we do bring property owners in for discussion.
And this
this
project
is-
is over 20 years
This
old.
project is
Yeah,
before I even
it's- yeah,
got
it's-
here,
It's an old project.
literally.
Well, if it's that old, then why did we only hear about it 8 years ago?
Because it's been a state developed project. It's not been a town developed
Well, I'm just
project.
saying in the future, when if everybody knows it's been going on 20 years. And
I can't invite. the-
everybody else should, who's a stakeholder in the area.
I
should
understand.
Get a certified
It wasn't
letter.
under
I agree, but it's not my jurisdiction to do that. The town wasn't even
I'm not
brought
trying
in.
to argue with.
I'm not either. I'm just answering.
I'm just being honest. I'm grateful that you guys have all this needed. I just wanted to bring up some points.
No, I'm not arguing with you, Amy. I'm responding
I
to what
still
you're saying.
don't think it's the best option, but I know you guys are happy to move forward, so.
Well, thank you for your time and input. Anybody else? All right, the motion is to approve and ratify, or I will entertain a motion to approve and ratify the terms and conditions of the settlement agreement reached by and between the town of Chester and Ariel Goddard, Peter Franzen, and Amy Franzen dated August 27, 2025. Authorize town manager Julie Hance to sign said agreement and accept the warranty deed of dedication and acceptance on the town of Chester's behalf, and to authorize a payment of $60,000 from Chester's general fund, all pursuant to the terms of said settlement agreement.
I will make that motion.
Okay,
I'll
on the
second.
motion, Tim's a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I have to say aye too. So, the motion has been made, seconded, and approved. So we're done.
I think we're done. You can
Okay.
close your meeting.
So I guess I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I can make that one.
So Tim
I'll
made the
second it.
motion, Arnie second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you very much for attending. Appreciate it.